Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So the public are infuriated and they are upset regarding Prince Harry's latest Netflix debut. And the Daily Mail have covered this. Of course they have. The article's titled "Duke stars in new documentary about the Paralympics as he urges society to encourage and accept people with disabilities." Now, I understand people advocating on behalf of people who have disabilities. Their needs and feelings are valued just as much as those who are able-bodied, but I find it quite patronising coming from someone like Prince Harry, along with many other Netflix users. Now, a lot of people are saying that they are going to cancel their Netflix subscription over this. They don't understand why Harry is getting coverage for an issue that is widely advocated for. The article carries on to say the Duke of Sussex has made his Netflix debut in a new documentary as he urged society to encourage and accept people with disabilities. Prince Harry, who is currently living in a $14 million mansion in Santa Barbara, and that's the bit that gets me. He's sitting around in a $14 million mansion in LA, in a plush part of the US, and he is preaching to the people, the common people, the normal people who pay his bills. Not only is he sitting in a mansion that he hasn't worked for, he is also sitting in a mansion and telling us what to do. I just find him to be fame hungry and desperate for attention and desperate for clout. The Duke follows in the footsteps of Meghan Markle, 39, who we all know is not really 39, but anyway, with the move to documentary work coming after the Duchess offered a voiceover for a Disney film earlier this year. While it is not known whether Prince Harry was paid for his appearance in the film, which more than likely I believe he was, sources revealed in January that he and Meghan plan to make a living by providing voiceovers and producing documentaries on worthy issues such as mental health and climate change. Can you believe how vile this character is and how vile they are? They're actually going to be capitalizing and making money out of people's handicaps, people's disabilities, all to finance their extremely lavish lifestyle that they actually have no business living, considering they have spent so much time insulting the very people, the British taxpayer, while taking their taxes. I just find it extremely hypocritical and extremely rude, but here we have it. He's at it again, preaching, talking and telling people what to do, as if we don't already have any awareness of people who are disabled. In the film, the Duke of Sussex exalts the success of the London Paralympics, claiming that many people thought the event would be a failure. He said a lot of people, based on what they'd been told, thought it was going to be a failure and that they weren't going to be able to sell tickets. He added the stadiums were packed, the sport was incredible, and what they saw was undoubtedly better than the Olympics themselves. Meanwhile, he continued, for me and for so many people out there, especially young kids, to see individuals like that go on and achieve what they have achieved. No amount of books that you read or teaching or class that you can have is going to give you the same inspiration as being able to watch something that you have been told is impossible. The Duke later held the significance of sport in changing lives, saying of the stadiums, there's thousands of seats there that could change those people's lives, because don't forget, yes, lives are being changed on the track, but lives are also being changed in the stands as well. Meanwhile, the royal also added some final comments to the film's finale and spoke of his admiration for Sir Ludwig Guttmann, who established the Paralympic Games in England. He said Sir Ludwig's vision has not really been completed because still those that are referred to as being disabled are not being encouraged or not being accepted back into society at large, What Sir Ludwig was trying to do back then is needed more now than it's ever been. Appearing in the film, the Duke can be seen wearing a relaxed green shirt and a pair of simple grey jeans and reclines on a green sofa as he speaks from within a studio space. The sporting subject of the documentary is a passion of Prince Harry's, with the royals setting up the Invictus Games in 2014. And it goes on and on and on. I'm not going to go into everything that they said, but I personally think that they're stepping into territory that they actually have no business walking on. It seems as though they just want to make as much money as they can while capitalizing on people's misfortunes, which is quite desperate, low and tragic. But then when you look at this couple, they don't really have many strings to their bow apart from cashing in on their royal connection. And how long is that going to last? How many times can they tell these old recycled stories about their alleged awful misfortunes by being linked to the royal family and the alleged bigotry and racism that Meghan experienced? So there's a bit more here. The decision to work with Netflix is also a move reminiscent of former President Barack Obama and his loyal wife Michelle. In January, sources confirmed the couple had discussed their plans with the Obamas and wanted to mimic the way they had managed to build a successful but dignified life for themselves after leaving the White House. Since leaving the White House, the Obamas have earned a small fortune by selling rights to their autobiographies and setting up their own production company, which has bagged a lucrative deal with Netflix. But you see now the Obamas have something to say. Barack Obama had 2 terms being a president. Michelle Obama was an established, acclaimed, highly sought after lawyer. And she worked from the roots up. She worked extremely hard. She's achieved things. She was there with him when he had absolutely nothing. They had children and a whole entire identity and marriage before they came into the public eye. And they have likability. I don't see how Meghan and Harry really match that. Harry was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Meghan Markle was on Suits for, I think it was all of 2 or 3 seasons. She'd done 100 series total. That was her biggest career achievement. She snagged that in her late 30s. Then she goes on to marry Harry and hasn't done anything since. What has she done? Now she's preaching, she's giving us advice. They're just not on the same level. I think you guys can attest to that. It carries on to say, after stepping down the senior royals, Meghan and Harry signed with the New York-based Harry Walker Agency in June, which represents the Obamas and the Clintons. Meghan has made several appearances as a speaker at various online summits. However, it is understood that she did not receive payment for these engagements. Experts estimate that the Sussexes stand to earn an impressive sum from public speaking. However, with one agency estimating that the couple could rake up to $500,000 each from a single appearance, it will be really sad to see them just cashing in off of the back of people's problems and people's poverty and people's disabilities and misfortunes. It's all in bad taste, but this is what these guys are about. They don't care how they get the money, as long as they get as much money as they possibly can get their hands on. So it carries on to say, Finding Freedom co-author Omid Scooby, who also claimed the couple have big plans for the next few years and are basing their working model on the Obamas. He said their plans were not too dissimilar from what the former president created after leaving the White House and setting up Higher Ground production company. He pointed to the Obamas' multi-year production deal with Netflix to produce films and documentaries covering topics like race, class and civil rights. But they have the right to do that. They really are people who have suffered injustices. They are both 2 people of colour. Barack Obama is of biracial heritage and Michelle Obama is a straight up woman of colour. She's just a black woman. And she also has covered the way in which on her climb to becoming a lawyer, on her pursuit, that she actually had a girl whose parents were afraid of her sharing a dorm room with her and being a roommate with her because she was black, and she didn't actually find this out until some years after when she went on to higher education. So she knows what it's like to experience real prejudice, whereas Meghan and Harry, they're talking about issues that really don't relate to them in any way, shape or form. And I'm not saying that no one can talk to issues that don't directly have an impact on their life, but I just think when it comes to these two, it's very hard to really connect with what they're saying because they're so disliked, they've been so rude and contradictory, and they don't really stand behind anything that they do. They don't really live what it is they actually preach. They say we want a private life. They're everywhere. They're always doing public engagements, yet they want a private life. It just makes no sense whatsoever. One person commented on the Daily Mail article and said, "Thanks, Harry, that just reminded me to cancel my Netflix subscription." Someone else said, "Most of us already encourage and accept people with disabilities. He's trying to make an issue where there isn't one. He is either on drugs or has had his mind poisoned by that woman." Someone else said, "Okay, so then this should include people with mental illness too. It's often ignored." Someone else said, "Does Harry have a green card? And what does Prince Philip think of this Markles?" Someone else said, "Dull, boring, now go away, Harry. We know people with disabilities are absolutely amazing. We certainly do not need you to tell us that." It just goes on. People are sick and tired of Meghan and Harry's thoughts, feelings and opinions. Someone else has said, "For a couple who have repeatedly voiced their disdain and contempt for the media and made perpetual claims of wanting complete privacy to avoid public scrutiny, they are relentlessly chasing opportunities to put themselves in the spotlight centre stage for celebrity fame and fortune from anywhere and anyone who will buy into their self-serving agenda. What an absolute pair of exasperatingly pompous and patronising hypocrites they are, and made perpetual claims of wanting